All right, folks, we're gonna go ahead and get started. How y'all doing today? I hope everybody's week has been off to a good start. I know it's been a week since we met, so I hope the week leading up today has been good for you guys. I know we coming up on a holiday, so everybody gonna get that extra much needed day of rest.
That must.
I know, right? Much needed day of rest. Um, we're gonna get the logistics out of the way. So it is official. June 21st is the next after service.
Yay!
Yes, yes. So we're gonna send out some links, get registration rolling, and then you know how we do it. In house, you got 7 days, and then after in house, we open into the general pub. So I'm gonna get that rolling out to you guys. I'm really excited. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I might have like something really dope cooking up for this one. So y'all just be on the prayer and on the lookout. But God is definitely doing some pretty cool things. I'm really excited. Things are coming together slowly, but in its due season and progressively. Oh, don't tell me that, Chantel.
What to say? Come
Yeah,
on,
you're not
Chantel.
gonna miss that one. Oh no, we got. Well, hold on. I don't want to start praying against it. Just let me know.
Yeah.
All right. Um, but yeah, we're definitely having our next one on the books. Um, so let's dive in, guys. So y'all know, each week, whew, sometimes it's a doozy. The subjects, the topics, what we're gonna talk about.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna
Oh,
be
okay.
praying for you in that situation.
No problem. Yeah, we'll definitely be praying for you. Um, so guys, we like to just dive in. So we're gonna just jump straight to it. All right. So this week's discussion is on mind games, wrestling with intrusive thoughts. Mind games, wrestling with intrusive thoughts. Our focal scripture be 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, and it says, we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Before we dive into the icebreaker, I want to bring some context around, okay? So, um, the definition of intrusive thoughts. An intrusive thought or intrusive thoughts are unwanted, involuntary thoughts that can cause anxiety or distress. They often occur suddenly and can be repetitive, intrusive, and sometimes disturbing, making it feel like you're losing control. These thoughts do not define you, but how you handle them can shape your peace.
Mm-hmm.
I told y'all we gonna talk about a little bit of everything in here. We could go a little bit of every way, but we gonna always make sure that we lead it and point it back to some scripture. Okay. Let's jump into the icebreaker. Okay. So here's the icebreaker. What's one of the most random thoughts you have ever had that you couldn't shake? What is one of the most random thoughts you ever had that you couldn't shake?
To bite my husband.
Oh.
That is definitely a random thought. It's definitely a random thought to bite my husband. Definitely a random thought. Anybody else?
I've had those moments. I ain't gonna lie. I have bit you on the cheek before. Remember when we was
Yeah,
at the
it was,
computer?
it was definitely an intrusive thought. 100%. Anybody else? An intrusive thought. What's one of the most random thoughts you ever had that you couldn't shake?
Mm. I don't know. I think I was gonna say one of yours, but I don't know if it's a intrusive thought or just like a habit.
What?
Like yo, smelling stuff. Like you
Yeah.
always smelling something.
So it's okay when it's like normal, but it's like it's definitely intrusive when you're at other people's house.
Yeah, like
Cause I be telling
you be
myself,
at home,
don't do
okay,
that. Don't
but
do
when
that.
you at somebody's house, I mean, Brian gonna sniff your food. I ain't gonna.
I eat with all senses.
I
So
ain't
it's
gonna
got
lie
to
to you.
look
He
good,
gonna.
smell good before I even can experience whether or not it tastes good. If it don't look good, like, but maybe it might smell good. So let me
Yeah,
smell it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but I try not to do that, to other people because that is definitely probably an intrusive thought for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Let me tell you, let's dive in, right? Um, I can't stand when I feel like people are playing mind games with me,
Mm.
right? Like sometimes it feels like an insult on my intellect and my intelligence. Sometimes I can't explain why, but sometimes it frustrates me, right? But in the studying of this and looking at this, one of the things I will tell you I feel like God was pressing me on was you get frustrated when fleshly people play mind games, but you don't get frustrated when the enemy plays with your mind to distract you from the things I'm trying to get you to accomplish or to produce in your life.
I get frustrated.
I do, but not to the. I get frustrated, but my response is in the past has not been towards the attack, but my response becomes a flesh thing, right? Whether if it's pouting, whether if it's frustration, right? The intrusive, the way that the enemy throws thoughts at me, right? Sometimes they can be a distraction. And I'm going to tell you why. And we're going to dip into this lesson really heavy. But I'm going to tell you one of the reasons is because I am a thinker. My brain is probably my greatest asset.
You forgot to add a word before that.
What?
Over.
Oh, I was getting ready to say that. That's where I was going, right? My brain is my greatest one of my greatest assets, one of the gifts that God has given me. But where the enemy plays with that is I also overthink. Because instead of processing sometimes the information for face value, I will overprocess it to the degree that now I am worried about something that hasn't even happened yet.
Or now you created a problem.
That doesn't exist. I know, because I even not just in that. I've done that even like when we plan for events. I'll go out and buy stuff, and I done bought stuff I don't need. But I done overbought because I'm like, well, what if this happened? I need this. And what if this happened? Right? And then you get there and none of those things happen. I'm thankful and grateful that God understands the way that he has made me, so I get grace in some of those areas. But that still doesn't change the fact that there is so much warfare that happens in my thoughts that manifest in the things that happen in the natural because I didn't know what to do with the thought when the enemy first sent it, right? And so one of the things that I had to ask myself is honestly, Brian, why is it that the enemy attacks my thoughts? Well, first thing I had to understand is that the Bible says that for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? And so it's not the carnal things that I'm fleshing with, but if the enemy convinces me to see the flesh things before I see the spirit things, I'll find myself fighting things that don't exist. Right? I'll find myself warring in places that weren't even required to battle, right? It was a discussion that could have fixed it, but because I've overthought it and I've processed it so deep, right? I've created a fight in a season or in a situation that didn't even demand one or wasn't even getting ready to require one because I didn't cast out the thought. I didn't deal with what the enemy had me thinking about a situation before I approached the situation. So those of you who are new to this, we do an A, B, or C. Just if you want to chime in and say something, those options are always there. But we do A, B, and C to give people who maybe aren't very much talkers an opportunity to interact with what's going on. So first question, it's an A, B, or C. So I'm going to read the question. I'm going to give you the choices. And then in the chat, you can just drop A, B, or C. Or you can drop B or C or all of the above. Here's the question. Do you think intrusive thoughts are always negative, or can they sometimes be positive? Here's the A, intrusive thoughts are mostly negative for me. B, intrusive thoughts, some can be positive, but they still catch me off guard. Or C, I think they can be a mix of both depending on the situation. A, mostly negative for me. B, they catch me off guard. C, they can be a mix of both depending on the situation. I see a lot of C's. C. Let me tell you something. Not all intrusive thoughts are harmful, but it's important to recognize their impact. Thoughts become things, good or bad. Exactly. Thoughts become things. That is 100%. And that's the reason why you have to understand the source of where the thought is coming from.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta say that's not, just because it came to me doesn't mean it's my thought. I don't have to own that thought.
Yes.
Like sometimes you gotta return to sender for that thought.
Yes.
That's not of God, and everything that lives and dwells in here and that manifests in here is of God. So let me cast that out. That's a bad thought and vain imagination.
And let me tell you what's dangerous about a thought that you don't cast out. Because whatever you don't cast out, you entertain.
Right.
So, like, think of a thought as like you walk into a field, it's 300 acres of dead grass. You strike a match and you drop it, and then you ignore it. Over time, that flame or that fire becomes a flame, and then that flame becomes a wildfire.
Forest fire.
A forest fire, right? And so, but the problem is, if I would have addressed it when it was a match, before it was ever even thrown, before it ever even consumed anything, if I'd addressed it when it was the mere presence of a thought, right? Then I killed the opportunity for it to overtake something I don't want it to take, right? And so, understand though, here's where it gets tricky, right? Because an intrusive thought isn't necessarily always negative, it's the non-negative ones sometimes that we ignore that in the end robs us just as much as the negative thought. Because there have been times when we've put energy into something that wasn't of God. It was a positive thought, but it wasn't a God thought. Let me give an example, right? You ever broke off a relationship and God ended that season, but then you had a thought, man, you know what? It really wasn't that bad. We really could talk it through. We could really work it out. And before you know it, you pick up the phone and you calling and engaging in conversation with somebody that you didn't pray. That if you just be real, at one point you prayed for God to remove them, knowing that I need what the questions the post said, the text said.
Knowing that I
need to cast out that thought, and actually doing it took time to learn and adjust myself to doing it, no matter if it was negative or positive. Yes. Yeah. Right. And so the deal was that you know that you had prayed for God to remove something in that season. God removes it, and then a thought that feels good, right? It didn't feel negative. Hey man, you know what? We probably could work this out. So you pick up the phone, you call, and you engage in it. And what's dangerous in the engagement is you done reopened the door that God closed.
But also, too, like, sometimes that thought might hold, like, a little bit of truth. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me, there was, like, a imagery that came to my mind. So when, I think Jesus was in the wilderness getting tested, right? And he said, or, you know, he was tested in the, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it was like, your father is a miracle worker or whatever. So if you are his son, let him work the miracle right now. Like, there's some truth to that. So, but it's like you're provoking him.
Yes.
You're trying to get it for the wrong reason.
The motive matters.
Yeah, the motive matters. So even though that it could be a thought like, yeah, that's true. You know what I'm saying? He is a miracle worker. He can do all things. But why? Why are we in this moment right now and you're trying to provoke that out of me?
Yes.
Or why am I having that thought right now? And these are things that I already know that I don't have to test to prove that they could be true.
Yeah.
So you have to also think about, okay, where am I at in this situation while I'm having these thoughts? And then you send that back to, return it to sender.
And what's dangerous about entertaining those thoughts, negative or positive, right, is that they consume time, thought, and space that should be committed or dedicated to the thing God is doing, right? But we don't see the distraction, and so because we don't see the distraction, we become consumed in the thought, right? I kid you not. I know I'm not the only person. I can get into a thought and roll into another thought and roll into another thought and then blink my eyes and I realize most of my day has been gone, consumed by a thought that when I got to the end of it, I realized didn't even matter. And like one of the people said in the post, in the chat, and then found myself making something happen that probably wasn't going to happen because it wasn't, even if it was positive or negative, it wasn't a reality. It was really a thought. It was simply an idea or something that dropped into my spirit that I really should have released. Question number 3.
Sorry, y'all. Some people are saying the link isn't working, so I just tried to send it again.
Question number 3. How do you typically respond when you start to spiral with negative thoughts? Here they are. A, I distract myself with something else. B, I start overthinking it and spiraling deeper. Or C, I pray or talk to someone to help me get back on track. A, I try to distract myself with something else. B, I start overthinking it and spiraling deeper. Or C, I pray or talk to someone to help me get back on track. B's, 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 some C's. I see an A. I try to distract myself with something else. What she say? I'm going to be first. I spaz out, then I pray. I'm stepping into C now. B and C. C after I done spiraled. It's easy to go down a rabbit hole, but we can train our minds to respond out differently. When negative thoughts start to spiral, we often feel powerless. Let's just be real. Like when them negative thoughts hit, and I'm gonna be real, the enemy is not like an ignorant foe, right? Like he's not stupid. And what I mean by that is the thoughts that attack me aren't ones that I'm like, oh, whatever. That's just a thought, oh, whatever. I'm not thinking about that. No, the ones that typically hit me, the thoughts that take me down, they almost seem very intentional and very knowledgeable in the space of how I see information, but also in the space of what I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that the enemy hits me with things that don't bother me, right? Because if they didn't bother me, how are they really good warfare? How are they really good tactics? The things that I get hit with are the things that really bother me. Go ahead, Shonda.
Well, I want to say this. Often we can have, just like this, God knows our weaknesses. The devil also knows your weaknesses. So what the enemy will do, he will play on you constantly with a thought. So something that helps me, what I had to learn throughout the past couple of years of my life, is just this simple prayer: Jesus, help me. And then take deep breaths.
Yep.
So it can tell the enemy, no, you don't have authority over my mind. What you're saying is a lie. What God says and promises, it shall come true. And it takes practice. Nothing is never perfect. It's always going to take practice to get to where you need to go.
Yes. Recognizing, I kid you not, recognizing the thought is a skill all in itself. Recognizing the difference between a God thought and a spiral takes time.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's wrapped up in the framework of things that I would receive. I'm going to use me for an example. If I had a random thought of grabbing a knife and stabbing somebody, I would know random thought, because it's not even in my cortex or my process to want to harm somebody, right? But when it's things like starting a new business, when it's things like giving away money, when it's things that can be wrapped up in ministry, wrapped up in the idea of future and progression, those things can become spiraling things, because those are things that I will receive in the realm of processing.
Yeah. Taking those thoughts captive, yes.
Then asking, does it line? Exactly. Does it line up? Now, and I always throw this out here because I want people, we give this information as if we're talking to people who are very new to it, right? In order to be able to determine whether or not it lines up, I have to have a prayer life and a study habit. I gotta have one, because if I don't, the Bible literally says there's a way that seems right to a man, meaning there are thoughts that I will have, there are ideas that I will have that will seem, it would appear
to be good.
But because I'm aligned in prayer and aligned in my word, I can discern whether or not they are good by whether or not they line up.
But also, too, it could be a good thought. It could be something good to do. It just may not be that time for it to be done, or be done by you. I mean, we can have good intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
But it's not always my assignment. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like, I have that shirt to say, it's not my ministry. That's not my ministry, but maybe I'll pray about it and send it to somebody else. Or say, hey, this is what I've come across. Or this is a thought I had.
And let me say this. Some of us, what robs some of us is that we nosy.
Yeah.
Let's just be real.
You want the details.
Right, yeah, because you get the intrusive thought.
Yeah.
But the problem is you don't throw out the intrusive thought because you nosy and curiosity says, I want to know more, or I want to know the end. The enemy attacks us in our curiosity. Like I saw in the comment, he comes at us the same as he did with Eve. His methods haven't changed. Understand what got Eve was curiosity. Like, what is it to know more? And if I could know, and what does this like let's just think.
What is the more?
What is the more? Right?
Yeah.
It's the curiosity that spirals. And so the problem for many of us is some of the stuff that the enemy throwing at you, you want to entertain it because it speaks to something you desire or feel like you lack. Right? Like, and so the idea here is that at some point, I gotta go back. I gotta come out of the high of the emotion and come back to some form of reality to say, okay, but like, does this align with the word? What does God have to say about this?
Yeah.
And not just what does he say about it in general, what does he say about it relative to me? I'll give you an example. You know, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, everyone has aspirations in some way or another to have, not everybody, but a lot of people have aspirations to be married or have kids, right? And so the idea of that sometimes becomes so great that I don't go to God and say, but God, is this my season? Is it my season for a spouse? Is it my season to bring kids into this world? Like, you know, seasons matter. And so the enemy will get you off the track of where God is desiring to take you because he will get you so consumed and so wrapped up in the desire, because this thing is speaking to a desire. Get you so wrapped up in the desire that you don't cast out the thought.
Yeah. And also too, like, I found myself sometimes when God give me a thought and I'll take it to somebody else and tell them my thought. And then they're like, I don't know. I don't know if you could do that. Are you capable of doing that? Now you've put doubt on my thought. And you start watering it down. And then I'm going to this person, that person, the other person. And then I have all of those people's thoughts on top of the thought that God already gave me, because I'm seeking validation.
100%.
And I'm not standing in the truth of what God told me about the thought.
Preaching to the choir.
But if I would have kept the thought to myself, you know what I'm saying, and trusted God in it, I wouldn't have been allowed to let anybody else water it down. So then my faith is also watered down in it, because now I'm standing on the fact that, well, Mina said, you know, that she don't see me doing it. She see me doing this. And LaShonda said that I should be doing this because that, you know, that fits more my character. But when God has called you to a place, I got to be able to stand in that place.
Facts.
And stand on what the thought that God has already given me.
Facts. Number 4, what's something you do to challenge your thoughts when they feel overwhelming? A, I talk to someone I trust for perspective.
See?
B, I go for a walk or do something physical to clear my mind. C, I stop and pray to ask God for clarity.
Yeah.
A, I talk to someone I trust for perspective. B, I go for a walk or do something physical to clear my mind. C, I stop and pray to ask God for clarity. All of the above. Yep. Yep.
Somebody said C. Good.
Being proactive in managing your thoughts can help you break the cycle of negativity. See, in order to cast out a thought, you first gotta address it.
Yeah.
So for me, I am definitely a C. I am definitely I stop. I am in all of the above, because I will say I'm in all of the above, and here's why. Because when I first get the thought, I probably need to go for a walk. I probably need to go for a walk because I need to silence everything around me. The TV, the job, the kids, the wife. I need a silence. So I'm gonna do one or two things. I'm gonna be transparent here. My wife will attest, right? I'm gonna do a couple of things. One of the things I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna go outside and go for a walk. Then I come back. If it's heavy enough, I'm gonna start doing something like wash the dishes or cut the grass. Or I'm gonna start doing. Catch it, check it, change it. Yes, right? Like, and so I got to deal with it. I can't ignore it. So first thing is, you're right. I got to catch it, right? But then after I catch it, like, I got to go deal with it. And in dealing with it is the process of cleaning and doing something is me actually getting into God. It's me saying, God, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm going through. This is what's going on, and giving God room to deal with me so I could deal with it. Let me read a post. It says, but let's be clear. I don't just talk to anyone. I talk to who I know God has placed in my life, and I know they are walking and aligning themselves with God. Another fact, right? I can't how many times I reiterate, be careful who you allow to minister to you. Like, I'm just going to be real. I'm even so extreme in it. I watch who I let pray for me. Right? Like, can't just anybody pray for me, because some people who PRAYing is actually PREYing. And so you got to be careful, because there's some people who don't want to see what it is you asking God to do. And so instead of going to God on your behalf, right, they are literally, they are calling it prayer, but they're not even talking to God about you. They are literally venting, saying God knows what in regards to you, and putting it out in the atmosphere. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of things that the enemy don't know, that we give him so much credit for, that he don't know till we open our mouth. There are things you wrestling, not because it's not even a God thing. It's you said something, or someone else has said something. You didn't rebuke you, or you didn't rebuke what you said, or you didn't rescind what they said, and now that thing is happening, right? And so, a thought starts with a seed sometimes, right? There's a saying that God gave me that I lived by, that the mouth don't speak what the mind don't think, and the mind don't think what the heart don't feel, and the heart don't feel what the eyes haven't seen and the ears haven't heard. Say that one more time. The mouth don't speak what the mind don't think. The mind don't think what the heart don't feel. The heart don't feel what the ears ain't heard and the eyes ain't seen. Why? Because there are things that are coming out of your mouth because you've heard it. And at some point you processed it, and your heart began to believe it, so you begin repeating it.
Right. And that's why you have to be careful too about who you are talking to, who are you releasing your thoughts to, because like you need somebody that will hold you to that standard.
Yes.
You need somebody that, I come to you with this thought, and you like, okay, that's not right, and I should be able to explain to you and pluck that thought out.
Yes.
And we should be going against that together. Like, we're supposed to be edifying each other, not get with somebody and they're like, girl, yeah, I feel the same way. And now you both going down the mudslide together. You need somebody that's going to say, that ain't right.
And I'm gonna tell you how you know,
out of that.
You know how you know when them people good people, when it's a good situation. I'm gonna tell you, my wife is one of those people. When you go to them and you in the spirit of complaint, and their responses frustrate you, it frustrates you, not because it doesn't frustrate you for all the wrong reasons. It frustrates you for all the right reasons. Like, I really didn't want to hear that. Like, I wanted to gossip, and I wanted to tell you what I was thinking and what I was feeling, and I wanted you to encourage this emotion by throwing some wood on it. Because that's not what you want to hear. Facts. That ain't what you want to hear. I want you to hear, Brian, you was right for being upset. And to be honest with you, you should have said something. You should have went off, right? But the reality is that's not a good accountability partner. That's not a good accountability person. I'm gonna tell you something. And accountability, I don't know why I feel like I need to say this, but you need to hear this in the course of thoughts, right? Yes, Vanessa will tell you what God has for you. Facts. Let me tell you something. You don't have to be a Bible scholar to be able to be accountable, right? You just gotta know enough about His Word and have enough relationship with Him to be accountable, right? I kid you not. I have an accountability partner whose name I'm gonna keep anonymous, because he's not one of the people who like to be aired out like that. Okay, but me and him talk regularly, and one day I was having a rough day, and we were on the phone talking, and I wasn't gonna tell him what was going on in my day, And he was like, bro, tell me. I was like, nah. He's like, bro, you can talk to me. But in my mind, I'm saying, no, I can't tell you this because, like, our relationship has been built on you telling me kind of what's going on and me encouraging you. You got what I'm saying? And so I'm like, yeah, I can't tell you what's going on. And before I know it, God had me just kind of talking through what I was going through. I kid you not. Brother was lining me up. You hear me? No, let me tell you, bro, look, right? And to be honest with you, some of what he said was fresh revelation, and some of what he was saying was literally regurgitating to me some stuff that I had already said to him. What are you saying? What I'm saying is to be accountable and to have a relationship of accountability is to have somebody that's going to hold you to the standard.
Yeah. Yep.
I trust the perspective. Okay, wait. Has there been a time when a random thought led you to doubt your faith, and how did you overcome it? Well, let's scratch the let's do that second part last. Has there been a time when a random thought led you to doubt your faith? A, yes. B, no. A, yes. B, no. Yes. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. All right. Yes. Yes. Okay. How did you overcome it? Here is the overcoming question. How did you overcome it? A, it made me question God's plan for me. B, I reminded myself of his promises. Or C, I typically don't let my thoughts affect my faith. A, it made me question God's plan for me. B, I reminded myself of his promises. C, I typically don't let my thoughts affect my faith.
Yeah.
Yep.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. A lot of y'all better than me.
Yeah,
I mean, way better. Y'all high class. Y'all should probably teach this class because, whew, Lord knows, I've been in some places, shoot, even currently, that I have said, like, look, Lord, am I a believer? Because I feel like I'm suffering.
Yeah.
And you said your yoke is easy and your burden is light. And I feel like it's heavy. Like, I feel weighed down.
Yes.
Like, am I out of alignment? Like, I have doubted my faith. I have doubted myself in my faith. Like, am I this person? Like, do I measure up?
Am I being punished,
like,
Lord?
do I got the mustard seed faith?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep.
like, I don't understand because it's not hidden right now. So y'all, a lot of y'all better than me. Y'all saying y'all don't typically let y'all thoughts affect your faith. But there's been some days for me.
Yep, like, are you mad at me? What did I do?
Yeah, like, is this a punishment?
Intrusive thoughts can challenge our beliefs, but our faith doesn't have to be shaken by them. Even the most faithful can struggle with doubt when negative or random thoughts attack. Recognizing that these thoughts are just that, thoughts, help us regain focus and trust in God's truth, not in our fleeting feelings. Mark 9:24. Immediately, the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief.
Amen.
He understood where he was,
yes,
but where to get it fixed.
Yes.
And the reality is, I'm not gonna lie. I gotta be real. There are times when the intrusive thought will crumble me, right? With all of the faith in the world, I've seen God do miraculous things at levels and in spaces that some people dream and wish they could have seen God operating at.
Yeah.
But I'd be lying if I didn't admit that sometime in the crisis of thought, I forgot those things.
Yeah. Or I'm just like, man, I'm human. Like, it's so much going on.
Yeah.
It's so much going on. It's not just like one thing that made me question my faith. It's like the compound of things.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point of like, okay, man, am I lining up? Am I doing what you called me to do? Like, I'm under so much attack that it feels like, okay, is this me? Am I putting my own self through this type of attack? or what is going on? And then you're like, okay, but is it just trying to strengthen my faith?
Yeah.
Even though my faith is being tested, is it trying to strengthen my faith? Is it, am I in a position where, okay, God is calling me to have big faith? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of believing for the juice box and the crayons,
Yeah.
it's believing that, okay, in all things,
Yes.
you're faithful. And so I, like, currently I've never been like challenged this way
Yeah.
in this type of part of my life.
Yeah.
So it's like a new type of faith. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believe when this is all over.
Yeah.
I believe that I have a new type of faith because now, because I can say, God help me in this area.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen God move in other areas of my life. So I have faith for you over here and over there. But in this area of my life, man, he's showing me that he could be faithful.
I'm gonna give it to you, Shonda. 1 second. What she said in this chat, I used to hear the elder people say this when she said, "Amen, sister." There is a time that all I could pray was 4 words: God, make it plain. And it was so crazy because as a kid, it didn't make sense because everything was plain. But then you become an adult, you experience life, and you have more to filter information through. And even the simplest thing you will make complicated. And so that prayer, God, make it plain, is sometimes because God, there's so many ways that I could process what I'm going through right now. So can you just make it very plain and make it very clear, what is this situation or this season about? Because if it was plain, if it was simple, like I could endure it.
Bear.
That. But the difficulty to endure it is because I am so uninformed in what's going on in this situation. And because I'm uninformed, my thoughts are running rampant. My blood pressure is up, right? I can't sleep. I'm having to take something to calm down so that I could calm down so I could go to bed because I'm really struggling, but I'm struggling because I am overthinking what it is you're trying to do in this situation, right? You get sick. I could tell you right now, the first time I caught COVID, it was easy. Not the sickness wasn't easy, but processing it was. The second time I caught COVID, I had already lost some people, right? So now the second time I got COVID, God, are you ready to take me? Like, I don't want to die. Like, I got kids and I really don't feel like I've done all that I'm capable of doing in ministry, Lord. Like, right? And God is like, no, Brian, it's not even none of that. It's not none of that. Like, and here is what it is for you. It might not be everybody's situation, but here is what it is for you. And I needed God to sometimes simplify the experience, not make it easy, simplify the explanation so that I understand and I can connect with the why this thing is going on.
But when he don't, but when he doesn't simplify it, you just trusting. Like, I'm for real. This experience that I'm currently going through, he hasn't given me the why yet. And it's just like I'm living it out until I get to the why. And sometimes, like, God has done that with me before. He don't tell me the why to the end. And he don't even tell me the why, he shows me the why at the end. So it's just like, okay, I have to just, it's almost like that blind trust, that blind faith of just walking it out.
Yes. Shonda, I saw your hand was up. Or did you?
No, I'm trying. I got
Oh, you're
a
all right.
couple of things, but
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to just ring it all in. So sometimes I want to say this: you could be in a place for so long, and I'm gonna just say from experience, I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
About 13 years ago, my brother was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. My faith ain't in the police. My faith ain't in humans. My faith is in God to do something. But over the 13 years, as you guys know, I've lost loved ones. And I also thought that, yes, walk by faith and not by sight,
Yeah.
that I have to continue to do. Because sometimes you could be in places for so long. for 10 years. It's me and my husband 10-year anniversary coming up, and we're just like, wow, 10 years of this marriage, we have been through the gutter. We have been through the fire. But we do realize that we're going to walk out of this eventually. What is on the other side of what we had, why we had to go through it, we will understand. And some of it we did realize why we had to go through it. Mean for us to trust more in God and not in people. We're so accustomed to people pleasing.
Yeah.
You want to make sure everybody else is straight, but you don't realize, hey, am I straight? Is my relationship and my walk straight? God sometimes will pull you out of the crowd to pull you into Him more. And that's just something I wanted to say. When you're in tunnels for a long time, you will think that God, did I do something wrong? Is my prayers not being answered? I remember praying for my mother to fight cancer, but God had the final say. He brought her home. I was questioning the other day, Mother's Day. I was just like, Lord, did I give me my all? I took her to this doctor. I got her this assistance. I kept doing this. And my husband came to me. He said, but you keep saying, but, but you done all you could do. Get that thought out of your mind. You done all you could do. The rest is up to God. We just have to trust Him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going through a similar thing with one of my relatives. She, man, she got diagnosed with cancer like out of the whim, right? And she just was like, well, I'm ready. And everybody in the family was like, what? You ready? You're not going to fight? Like, you just going to throw in the towel? Like, she was like, no, I'm ready. But I had to understand that, too. She lost both her children. You know what I'm saying? She's tired. She don't want to lose her husband, which would be the only person that she got left. So she just gotta. That's her choice. You know what I'm saying? That probably would break her to lose her husband and be by herself.
And and it does. With my mother dying on her, going on her deathbed and dying, I kept looking at her as she was withering away, and not withering away because she's in a new home. She's up in glory.
Yeah.
But I kept looking back. Oh, your son was murdered. Not
Yeah.
only that, two of your grandchildren were murdered. It's
Yeah.
snatched from your hand. You've had a rough life, even though, I want to keep you here, but she kept saying, you know everything to do. Trust in God. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
You know everything to do. And it is like that, Vanessa. You want them to fight so much to stay, but also, are we being selfish when we don't really know what they got going on?
Yeah.
Let them go on if they want to go on. They know their time. They know their relationship with Christ.
Yeah. And it's their choice.
Yeah.
It's their choice.
I want to go back to a comment. She says, I try not to be the woe it is me person, but I do ask, has he forgotten about me? And have I done something wrong to be punished? I read one of the comments that said we've all been through that, and that is facts. But I want to go deeper. Okay? In those moments, those are the thoughts that you have to grab hold of. You gotta grab hold of those thoughts, and you gotta take those very feelings, those very thoughts, those very emotions, and that's what you gotta go before God with. God, I listen, in my years of believing and my walk and my journey, there's one thing I wish I would have learned earlier, and that is that God wants those questions from me.
Facts.
God would rather me approach him with the question than to live with the unresolved answer that I would find myself wrestling with. Exactly. And start formulating my own ideas of the why. Because sometimes what we're going through, it isn't for the reasons in which we think. Like, God, am I going through financial challenges because I'm not good with money? Sometimes it's not that you're not good with money. Sometimes this season is preparing for you to know how to manage the next season. Because let me tell you something, and I got somebody on here who deals in money, so if I'm wrong, she can correct me, right? What it took when I was in my younger years, what it took to manage my McDonald's money is not what it took to manage NRG money. To be honest with you, at McDonald's, I was making enough money that I was making the type of money that I made excuses for poor spending, right? But then I got older. I became wiser. Mm-hmm. And I became a better steward of it because God said, okay, you did the 10, you did the 20, you did the 30. You handled your business like you were supposed to. You did the things that, all right, I can give you a little more, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it was each step was necessary for the next. And we don't get to bypass one and leap into another, right? Like each step is a progressive learning, and I say it to you this way. My son, Bubba likes playing on the stairs. But it didn't take Bubba but one time to jump and miss a step and hurt himself to say, nope, I got respect for these steps. And I'm going to go down each one. I might go down faster, right? But I'm definitely not going to try to jump past one to get to the other one. And the reality is for our lives, that's how we have to understand the journey of what we experience in this thing called life, is that I don't get to jump over a step, because a jump over a step could actually sacrifice the next step.
Yeah. I can't skip the process.
No.
My tablet's out, so we got to read.
How do you differentiate between a thought you should address versus one that you can ignore? It's an A, B, or C. You ready? A, I address all negative thoughts right away. B, I try to ignore small thoughts but address the big ones. C, I ignore most thoughts unless they affect my mood or actions. Let me read it one more time.
Somebody say A.
A, I address all negative thoughts right away. B, I try to ignore small thoughts but address the big ones. C, I ignore most thoughts unless they affect my mood or actions. A, B, C, A, C, A, C, A, and C. Yeah. Not all thoughts need my energy. Sometimes it's about knowing when to move on. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why that's important. Listen, it's not just a thought. I'm about to help somebody, okay? It's some conversations you need to learn how to move on. If you can move on in the conversations, you'll learn to move on in the thoughts. Some of y'all don't know how to move on in your thoughts because you don't even know how to move. You could be having a discussion and don't know how to move on. So it's some stuff we just got to, in 2025, we just got to say, God, it's some stuff I just got to move on, right? Like, it's some stuff that it's some thoughts I can't dwell on. And let me tell you, you know what gets me sometimes? Some of the things we dwelling on, if we left it where it belonged, it died 10 years ago. Yeah. It's already dead. It died 10 years ago, but for some reason.
Which is funny because I'm that person.
What?
I'm exactly what you're talking about. Some stuff I got to just let die. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I haven't become completely adjusted in that yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Just being transparent. Sometimes the situation, your position may change. Mm-hmm. Like where you at in life may change. Mm-hmm. But somebody do something that reminds you of where you came from or what you been, you like, we about to have a bad day. There's about to be a tornado up in here.
Don't take me there.
Because now you not getting what you deserve. You getting what everybody didn't get.
Yeah, you got 10 years worth of baggage.
Because I was quiet then.
Yep.
And now
I reached back all the way into 2010.
Now that emphasis that was back there,
yep,
I done built it up.
Yep. And you know what?
Right here.
Let me tell you the other thing that's hard about that too. Now you getting the south side of the kingdom. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's the hard part about that? Is when you are the type of person who don't, I kid you not, I'm going to say it this way. I used to get frustrated as a kid because I was the kid who we go back and forth. You'd say something, I say something. And then it's not till you left that I thought of all of the things I could have said.
Like, ooh, that would have got him.
But what's messed up is the next person who say that or say whatever that is,
I'm pulling it out the bag.
They get all of that. And that didn't even belong to you. Yeah. I pulled all the way back. I should have said this to the last person, but don't worry, you going to get
But don't worry, ain't nobody going to sneak up on me like that
again. You going to get this. You going to get all of it. What we dwell on is what piques our interest or rubs us the wrong way. Pride gets in the way. That's why it's harder to let it go. Facts, right? The things that we don't, you hit that nail dead on the head. The things that are harder to let go, they affected us.
Yeah.
And for some of us, let's just be real. For some of us, we still not at a place where we can say that it affected me.
Yeah.
This thing that somebody said whenever affected me. Now everybody who says said thing gets a trigger out of me because that's a thought, right? And let me tell you something too. The enemy is cunning. And what I mean by that is it's some things that people said that you was already low-key thinking about yourself.
That part.
And so when they said it,
it hit a personal place.
It watered a seed you didn't dig up. Mm-hmm. So now you done harbored bitterness because somebody said something that affected you in a place.
But that too comes with not being comfortable with my downfalls, with my, you know what I'm saying, my shortcomings.
Facts.
Because you can't hold ammunition for where I've already started to acknowledge and heal from.
Yes.
Because let's say, oh, well, you did that back in 2020 or whatever. And you be like, yeah, but, I'm not that person no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm healed in that area. I've come a long way since then. I don't respond the same way I respond. But somebody hit you there and you ain't even recognized it for yourself. You be like, well, hold on. Let me tell you about yourself.
Yes. Yes. Another one. She says, I have matured a lot, but God is still working on me. He has taught me when to hold my tongue. But believe I be ready to argue like, God, just let me say it.
You want to cut them.
God,
like, don't worry about it.
Hey,
I got a few things in my back pocket I can cut you with.
Look, it made me think of that meme, that video, when that little girl walked up to him. Can I say a bad word? Can I say a bad word, please? Like, God, can I respond? Please. Yeah. Just this one time. I'm not going to respond to everybody. Just this one right here. She need it. I need to respond to them. You know what I'm saying? And God's like, no. You need to bring that to me, right? And that's hard. Again, I think our thoughts is where 3/4 of the battle takes place. Because if I can kill it when it's a thought, I can kill it before it manifests into an action. Because
the Bible tells us to renew our mind.
Yes. Which means my thoughts should stay before God. My mind should stay before God, right? And if my thoughts are before God, my actions will yield to God because my thoughts are constantly in that space. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it right every time. Perfection is not for mission, right? It's growth. It's each day becoming a more refined and a better form of myself by continuously putting my entire self at the altar, by putting my thoughts at the altar, by putting my dreams at the altar, by putting my shortcomings, by putting the great way I see myself, but also putting some of those low and bad ways that I see myself. We got to keep it real. It's some of us who see ourselves so beneath how God sees us. Mm-hmm. And the thoughts that we wrestle with are because we haven't rebuked, we haven't rejected, we haven't dealt with the way we see ourselves, right? Like, not just like your natural self, right? It's times we get in the mirror and it's not the carnal self, it's not the flesh of ourselves that we're wrestling with. It's not what I look like naturally. It's when you look in the mirror, who do you see? Not what do you see, who do you see? And if who you see is not a reflection of who God says you are, you gotta deal with that. Yeah. You can't ignore it. You can't run away from it. You can't walk away from it. You gotta address it. And I'm saying that because, guys, your limitation, I don't know who this is for, but the limitations that you are seeing and where you want to go has nothing to do with God's blessings not being there, and everything to do with what are you giving God to work with. I can preach from the mountaintops. I want to bake cakes. But if I don't go to the store and get egg and flour and sugar and rising flour and all of that good stuff to make those things, then there's no ingredients. So there's thought, but there's no ingredients. And see that in the same way, in the spiritual sense, you can talk to you blue in the face about the things that you want to obtain financially, spiritually, emotionally. But if you haven't brought something to God to work with, how does he make that? Well, I'm saying that because in this mind thing, one of the key ingredients to what it is I want to become and who it is I feel like God has called me to be, one of the key ingredients that God needs is my thoughts. It's the way I think and see myself, the way I see my faith, the way I see and approach ministry and church and religion and all of those things. And so if I don't bring all of those things before him, he can't make this wonderful cake that I'm asking God to produce. He can't produce this good. And again, what's a hard thing to receive is that when God begins to make and create what he's planning to create out of you, you will benefit from it, but it ain't even about you. And that's hard. It's like knowing that God's going to use you to make this beautiful cake.
Yeah.
And then know that you'll get a slice, but the rest of the cake ain't even for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you'll get to experience it, but the bulk of what's being created isn't even for you. Every last one of us sitting in here has a testimony and a story that we have been able to both partake in the traumas of, but also we have had the ability to partake in the encouragement in seeing God move and help us in those seasons and situations. The hard part is to know that, God, I went through all of that, and this is what I get, but this is what I have to give the world. Mm-hmm. This is what I have to share with the world.
I was going to read Philippians 4:7 says, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. So it's also like when you're going to God with your thoughts, he will give you peace. He's not just going to leave you with those thoughts to continue to entertain or just drive you crazy. He's going to give you peace. You bring it to God, he's going to tell you what to do. You know what I'm saying? And you do what he says do with the thought. Cast it out, or, this is the thought that I want you to plant so that it can grow and to do the thing, whatever it is. But taking it to God, and that's where you're going to get your peace. Not taking it to a bunch of people, taking it to God, and you'll get your peace.
And let me say this to you, too. I don't know who this is for, but I'm going to drop this out here, too. Be careful that you watch how you handle God.
Yeah.
Don't come in the spirit of demand.
Yeah.
You got to come in humility.
Yeah.
Right? Like, God, sometimes we go to God like he owe it to us.
Yeah.
And the reality is he doesn't owe it to us, but we sure appreciate it if we got it.
That part.
Right? And so be careful that you go before God with the knowing that he is able, right? But don't go like you owe me, because you don't owe me, right? And I kid you not, we probably got another 12 to 13 of these questions that we could scroll through, but we're not gonna get through all of them today, and I know that. And I've come today knowing that I wasn't going to get through all of them, taking it to God and leaving it with him, knowing that he is already done, because he is not a God that he should lie. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Again, knowing his ability, knowing his desire, right? Those are the things that you can know. Know his ability, know his desire. Sometimes you're not going to know the outcome, but you can be at peace about the outcome because you know his ability, you know his desire. I'm going to wrap up that for today. I think I appreciate everybody for logging on. We are definitely going to pray before we dismiss.
Oh, I want to say something real quick. Guys, we had put up on our vision for the year on a whiteboard, mm-hmm. and we wanted to reach 100 active members. Mm-hmm. So as collective, we're gonna still do our part and reach out to people and try to get people involved, but it's just a challenge to have you guys bring someone.
Yeah. The request. Let me tell you why. I'm glad you brought that up as we begin to try to wrap this thing up. I'm gonna tell you why. Because there is so much more we are called to do outside of this, that in order to do it, we need to get to a place where we're replicating, right? And I'll give you an example of what I mean. And it's funny, I'm not gonna go into full details because me and my wife was having a conversation on the ride here. But one of the things that I really want to do next is to start developing some mentorship where we have young ladies working with young women, and we have young men working with other young men, right? We gotta begin to create some direction. And I'm gonna tell you why, because there is something that I want to be very clear in the vision sense, okay? We're dealing with a generation and a culture that doesn't have the religious experiences that some of us have and some of us don't have, right? And so the things that governed our behavior, sometimes it wasn't just the fear of mom, it was the respect of God, right? Mm-hmm. And our generation is losing the gap of that, right? And they need some people that they can respect, that they can look up to, right? That can make those things feel cool.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I know that most of us be like, well, having a faith isn't necessarily a cool thing. It isn't. But God knows what you need when you need it. And so each of us, God met us where we needed him. And I believe that to meet the needs of the next generation, God's going to meet them where they are. And where they are is that they need to see the
genuine,
yes,
the raw, the real relationship people have with God, not the phony, the fake,
no.
the flashy, the all of that.
No.
They just need the word,
and how we are with each other.
Yes,
because so many of them have seen such a bad representation of how people who confess to be believers operate with each other, right? And so I say again, I agree. And it's funny she brought that up because I have been praying, God, what's the next shift, right? Because it's time to go to that next level. And I see God already doing it in each of us. So be prayerful, but also be mindful. Yeah, share. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they need authentic and real.
Yes.
Yes. So again, I know you don't see us do a lot of pubbing for this because we're kind of growing it in an organic kind of way. But yes, invite people, share it, invite, share it.
We're gonna
Tuesday
post
nights
on
is
YouTube.
Yep.
We're gonna post on Facebook. We're gonna post on Instagram. We're gonna post on TikTok. I'm usually gonna have the post out early in the morning. Share it so we can start growing this thing. I believe that it's bigger than us, right?
Yep.
And our experiences can help people, and there are some people that need to know that, man, life is happening, but it's happening to all of us, but we're still trusting God. There's still faith. There's still a tomorrow. There's still hope, because there's a lot of people that are living without hope. And if we can provide them with hope and some understanding and something to eat on for the next few days, allow us to do that. I mean, there'll be places where you'll be able to step into people's lives because of things that you've been through. There'll be places where you'll be able to minister and heal some places with people because you're honest and true about what you're actually going through. People want to understand that this person has been through something. They want to be able to relate. They want to be able to have conversation and not just be biblically sound. They want to be able to say, okay, I'm not all the way sound in my faith, but I have a little bit. And then we want to be able to pour into them and add into them and encourage them to continue to seek God for themselves so that they can see a change, not only in their life, but other people's lives. We need to be able to evangelize. We need to be able to bring more people to the kingdom. And it's not going to look like church. It's not going to look like the regular Tuesday night or Wednesday night Bible service. It's just going to look like this. We're all gathering around and talking about the word with each other.
And the reality, again, the season of trying to be original I feel like that season is passing.
Yeah.
And the season for authenticity is much needed.
Yeah.
People want to see authentic relationships, not, yes, untraditional.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
right? Like, we got to get back to a place where we love people.
Yeah.
Right? And people see us love each other.
Yeah.
So, with that, thank you.